Flight models, story, starfighters. Here's what you need to know about Star Wars Squadrons. Star Wars Squadrons is the upcoming first-person dogfighting game from Motive, the studio behind Battlefront II. EA promises it will be the definitive Star Wars space combat experience, which is no small claim considering venerable predecessors such as X-Wing, TIE Fighter and Rogue Squadron. We can expect a story-driven, starfighter-focused, big-budget experience, an increasingly rare creature that many considered already extinct. So in this video we'll round up what we know so far about Squadrons, looking at everything from setting to customization, and explore how it just might be the type of game starfighter obsessives have been yearning for decades. Set S-foils to attack position, people, we're going in. Let's do some scene setting first. Much of Squadrons, including most of the narrative campaign, takes place a few months after the Battle of Endor and leads up to the Battle of Jakku, the finale of the Galactic Civil War. And in fact, the story in Squadrons will let you experience firsthand how the rebels were able to win that fight. It's a fascinating moment in the Star Wars timeline where the balance of power has shifted following the destruction of the second Death Star. The Empire isn't defeated by any means, and the story will show how that first ray of hope ultimately leads to the formation of the New Republic. It's also a gift for fans of the expanded Star Wars universe. We can see Wedge Antilles, Hera Syndulla from Rebels, and Imperial Naval Officer Ray Sloan in the trailer alone, and there are certain to be more familiar faces showing up at such a pivotal time in the Star Wars canon. So what about game modes? Well, the game primarily has a multiplayer focus, but as I mentioned before, there is a single-player campaign too. The story mode shows you different perspectives alternating between the New Republic and the Empire at a time when iconic and emerging leaders are battling to bring an end to the Galactic Civil War. There's also dogfight mode, which is likely to be the heart of the game. 5v5 space combat with a range of 8 customizable starfighters and support vessels. Here, as with everywhere else in the game, you'll play as a pilot in one of 2 squadrons, Vanguard for the New Republic or Titan for the Empire. The New Republic has X-Wings, Y-Wings, A-Wings and U-Wings. The Empire has TIE Fighters, Bombers, Interceptors and Reapers. And finally, there are fleet battles in which you team up with your squadron online or play against bots in large-scale fleet battles. Multi-stage, objective-based fights between 2 squadrons of 5. These will probably work like the Supremacy mode from Battlefront II, and your ultimate goal here is the destruction of massive enemy flagships. Good luck with that.
Shields are disabled.
Squadrons aims to strike a delicate balance. The game needs to feel like a bleeding-edge 2020 release while evoking the old-school analog feel of the original movies. The intention here is to make the way the craft move in space feel like Star Wars, and with that in mind, it's built on a World War II-style flight model. There's no leading reticule for a start-off. Motive wants you to look and engage with the world around you, rather than just with your cockpit UI. And there's a drift mechanic which will allow you to pull off Poe Dameron-style 180-degree turns mid-boost. That classic dogfight feel is augmented by your ability to add power to your movement, increasing your speed and altering how the craft handles.
Giving engines full power!
But it doesn't end there. There are 2 other categories you can boost as well: weapons and shields. This means there's a delicate trade-off depending on what you decide to buff. Overcharge your cannon, for example, and your speed will suffer. This will give you a degree of on-the-fly flexibility, but the intention is also to break the death loop you get in some dogfighting games where you just chase each other around in circles like angry pigeons. By adding options like a finite amount of super speed, we're certain to see some incredible feats of interstellar piloting.
This is gonna be close!
As a presenter on the Logitech G channel, it would be remiss of me not to specifically mention that Star Wars Squadrons supports hands-on throttle and stick as a bare minimum on PC, and there's a link in the description if you fancy setting yourself up for the fullest experience when the game arrives later this year. Squadrons is also fully VR compatible and was developed with that in mind. Starfighter cockpits in-game have been constructed in the same way ILM would have built a prop in 1977, based on the physical realities of the time. So if you ever wanted to sit inside an X-Wing and examine all the buttons and dials, this is your chance. So you might want to grab yourself a VR headset to go with that HOTAS.
Vengeance will be ours.
The Motive team are keen to balance the extensive, precious Star Wars lore with raw playability. Shields have adjustable front-to-back orientation, for example. At least they do when you have them. TIE fighters, as you might expect, don't have shields, and you can't mod the ships to add them. Instead, the dev team is looking to fine-tune the balance by tweaking things like the hull health of starfighters. The game is also chronologically correct as well. You won't see anything like hyperspace tracking here because it hadn't been discovered at the time the game takes place. A further degree of depth and competition comes from the customization options, which allow the players to step outside the boundaries of what we commonly see in Star Wars. There's a TIE bomber in the trailer, for instance, that's using a channeled laser, something that doesn't come as standard but can be added via modifications. These are intentional sweeping changes to ships, not just passive increases to your damage output. They change the way the game and your ships play. Certain types of hull, for instance, make you more fragile but hide you from enemy radar.
Jamming the enemy. Sensors can't spot you.
Motive has said that from a conceptual standpoint, the Star Wars X-Wing miniature game is an inspiration, and that tactical foresight is reflected in much of the customization.
Remember why we fly. For hope. For the new republic.
And finally, a quick word on microtransactions. There aren't any. Creative director Ian Fraser has said that the game has an old-school mentality. You pay your $40 and get a complete, self-contained experience. You will be able to unlock stuff while you play. There's one currency for cosmetic upgrades and another for mechanical, but it sounds like there are no shortcuts. It's worth noting that progression here is balanced as well. You won't get more powerful weapons from playing for longer, but you will unlock different options. So there you go. Star Wars Squadrons will drop out of hyperspace on the 2nd of October and will be available via Steam, Origin and the Epic Games Store. Give this video a like if you got a shiver seeing that Star Destroyer appearing, and let us know in the comments what side you'll be on. Will you be piloting an X-Wing to victory or helping the Empire keep its tyrannical grip on the galaxy? And as ever, don't forget to subscribe to Logitech G and ring that notification bell so you know when our next video lands.